and its types, right? Today we are going to talk about criterion. But before that, it's so important to remember one point. Tests measure what the language students have as a result of teaching, right? It's related to the past. Proficiency tests, on the other hand, look at the future situation of the languages without any reference to the previous process of teaching. So, now we are going to talk about the difference and the relationship between test and the criterion. Test is a performance or a group of performances which is designed to simulate what will happen in the real life, and it can be observed. Criterion is the real performance expected from the person in the real situation, and it cannot be observed. For example, tomorrow we are going to give lessons in Arisala school, and Ms. Daniela will observe us. This is a test. So, Ms. Daniela will use this test to predict our performance in the real life.
Future.
So, we use a criterion to design a test. And we use test to predict the real life situation, which is referred to as criterion. Okay? Direct testing. Okay, it's true that the materials and tasks in language tests can be relatively realistic, but they can never be real. So, you are a doctor speaking to your patient in a role-play test. Actually, you are not a real doctor. You are not in a real hospital, right? So, it's just like a tool to approximate the real life. So, some of you smart guys may ask me, we are real teachers, giving a real lesson to real students in a real school. So, is it a real life situation?
Yeah.
Do you think that? Actually, it's not, because it's just a tool of assessment. So, it doesn't matter how realistic the test may appear, it's just a tool for assessment. Okay?
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we have limits. So let's talk about the limits of the test authenticity. Test is just a test. It will never be a real life, because real life conditions are different. For example, now we are preparing very well just because we will be observed tomorrow by Ms. Daniela, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this affects the validity of the test. Okay, time is limited. You are in an interview, and the interviewer give you just a few minutes to judge your ability. And few minutes are not even close to enough to judge someone's full ability. So, observer's paradox. Maybe in a test you will be nervous. The moment someone knows he is observed, his behavior may change. So test is a test. It will never be a real life situation. So, now I want to ask you a question. What is the main goal of test then? What do you think? The main goal of test?
It's to predict your performance in the real life situation in the future, maybe.
Yes. As we say, we use test to predict the real life situation or your performance in the real life situation. So, the main goal of testing is to use a person's performance in a test to predict how they will perform in a real life situation. And this is referred to as criterion. Okay? Now, we have talked about the difference between criterion and test. So let's talk about the relationship between them. The test-criterion relationship. Okay, tests based on theories. And these theories, or some of these theories, focus on cognitive skills, like mental skills, your knowledge about the language. Others focus on social interaction, communication, role. For example, someone asks you about a food that he has prepared. And you said, the previous one was delicious. So now you are not answering about the previous one. So if we take this sentence from its context, it has a meaning. But in this context, it has a different meaning. So we don't talk about the language itself. We are now talking about the pragmatic or implication. Okay, so we cannot just assume that is the relationship between test and criterion. We need evidence. There is need for evidence, right?